I am Alison French. I'm the founder of Lead to Opportunity, and we help B2B sales organizations and marketing teams do a better job converting leads to opportunities so you can ultimately scale your revenue. And one of the tools we are in the process of creating is Show Scout. It is a sales activation and accountability platform for in-person events. Our goal is to really help equip your team with the tools they need to go to a trade show or a conference and walk away with qualified pipeline that converts. The biggest sticking point for people when they're headed to trade shows and conferences, whether they're exhibiting or walking a show, is how to get in contact with decision makers and how to drive more quality conversations at the booth. And so when I really set out to figure out how I could help solve this problem, I came from a lens of account-based marketing. Okay, if we're going to an event, how can we find the people that are there and how can we connect them to our buyers? So it really has been a journey in identifying what is getting in the way of people connecting with those decision makers at shows. So we've created quite a few different sales intelligence engines that help us kind of refine who the audience is that is attending a show so that our clients are going in knowing, okay, of the 10,000 people that are going to be there, these 500 match our ICP. And here's the contact information for all of them so that we can proactively target them going into the event. And then not only are you proactively targeting them before you get to the event, our platform, Show Scout, has a mobile component to it. So when you're on the show floor, you know who you're prioritizing. So you are of those 500, you have 100 that are your top tier priority one. Okay, great. Then you're going through the app and you're saying, okay, I've met this person, I haven't met this person. Here are my notes. You're scoring them for opportunity potential, and we get all that information back into HubSpot or your CRM of choice. And we're deploying all of your follow up based on those key signals so that there isn't this disconnect from, whew, I just got back from a show. Oh my goodness, I was on my feet for 16 hours a day. I've got a whole week of work to catch up on. Oh, yeah, I also have to send out follow up to it's all done. So we empower people to determine do they want to do it automated, still a one-to-one message, but we set it up in advance for the sales team so they don't have to worry about it. Or are we just suggesting messaging for the sales reps? It's showing up at tasks in their CRM and they're able to work their leads much quicker. So our ultimate goal is we're helping you identify who you want to target at the show. We're making it as easy as possible for you to engage with them on the show floor and track those interactions and then get that back into your CRM as quickly as possible so your follow-up goes out without kind of getting lost in the weeds or it goes out 2 to 3 weeks later with a generic message. I think there's a lot being left on the table by organizations when they go to the shows because there's the hard costs that they're investing in terms of the booth, the travel, call it $50,000 to $100,000 depending on the shows. Sometimes a smaller regional conference, it might be $10,000. You also have the time for your team to be out of the office or as a founder, your own personal time. So there's a cost associated with that. And I find the saddest part of all is most often people are just standing there hoping someone walks up to their booth or they're hoping they bump into someone in line for a coffee, and that translates to business. So the part that has surprised me the most by going into a show, knowing your ICP, I had a client that we supported that came in with 1,000 companies identified and 8 sales reps. They walked out with 6 million in pipeline, qualified, pre-approved companies, the right decision maker titles, conversations had on the show floor, and they had pipeline from call it a 72-hour show that could carry them through several quarters. And so I think that's the money that's being left on the table by not being proactive, by not going in with a plan, is not only did you spend all this money to get there, but you're just leaving so much money on the table in terms of sales outcomes because people aren't exactly sure what to do or where to go. And humanness kicks into the chaos and it's like, well, I'm just going to go catch up with my old colleague and different elements like that. And ultimately, it's hard for leadership to hold people accountable in these situations. But if you know who you're targeting, it's much easier on a daily basis to check in. You had a 500 accounts assigned to you. How many have you met? Great. Who haven't you met? How can we support you? Can we one of the offerings we provide is allowing sales reps to get notified when their prospects are posting on LinkedIn or if they're speaking at the event. how can we provide data and intelligence that makes it easier for people to connect on the sales floor so you don't walk away with all those missed opportunities? So I'm like serial employee number one early on in my career. And so you get really comfortable with being scrappy. And how can you do as much as you possibly can to drive revenue with as little as possible? And then that scaled into then I became, the founding product team and marketing team at startups. And then that scaled to helping start a startup or being an investor in a few startups and a consultant. And so because I've worn lens of employee number one and startup founder and investor and fractional CMO and VP of marketing for a company that had an IPO, I have so many lenses to bring into clients that I really understand what the C-suite or the founder is feeling because I have been there. And so when it comes to growing revenue, to me, it's not as simple as, oh, just dump a bunch of money into ads. Let's see what happens. Because I know what it is like when you need to make payroll. I know what it is like when you're trying to balance profitability and growth. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts I give to the customers that I work with is the fact that I know all these different roles and how they come together to create a scalable revenue business. Another area that I've had success with in the past is coming into organizations where they already have a really established sales organization and a marketing organization, and the founding team just might not know exactly how to better refine the process to scale the revenue growth to the next level. So that's a really fun engagement for me because what I love to do is come in and just better understand the business and the goals and how marketing is currently handling things, how sales is currently handling things, and then come up with a plan. Usually it's really tied to the revenue roadmap. It's where do you want to go from a revenue perspective? Where are your leads coming from? How are those leads converting into opportunities and further to revenue? And then diving in with the individual team to figure out, okay, where are we getting stuck? Because the numbers don't lie. It's easy to come in and look at the data and say, okay, we have a product to market fit problem. What can we do to better communicate the value we deliver to customers? Or is it we have a lead quality problem? We're getting a lot of leads, but there's no intent to purchase. So how can we help convert those leads into opportunities? What do we need to show them to make them more willing to purchase? Maybe we need to launch a new product. I think that's where my secret sauce tends to come in is kind of the sales and marketing whisperer for either new product creation or strategy, or what is it that we need to do to kind of unlock this revenue block in a business to help make it easier for everyone. And that's the best part about this exercise is usually when you're into this, all that he said, she said, marketing said, sales said, it all just kind of goes away because everyone just clearly knows what they're working towards. And everyone in leadership is happy because they're getting the outcome they want, which is more growth. I think what really led me to create Lead to Opportunity was just this tipping point in my career. It was at my last startup, and I was leading founder-led sales, and I was on the call. I guess I should caveat, we were trying to productize account-based marketing for med device companies. And so I was on the call with a med device salesperson, and he's like, marketing keeps sending me all these leads and they're crap. And he like literally opened his CRM, and every single lead he went through, he's like, that's a white paper from a professor. Like he broke down all these leads that marketing said were great. And it was a bit of an aha moment for me because up until that point in my career, I had always been on the marketing side of things. First I was in luxury yachting, which is really where I got exposed to events. And then I went into kind of e-commerce and digital marketing for a lot of my career and transitioned to B2B because I just really enjoyed this side of the business more so than worried about selling protein powder on Amazon, which was a children's nutrition company I was part of. And so hearing the salesperson talk about it was like this like aha moment as a marketer of like, wow, I have spent my entire career so excited about lead generation and so excited about these things, but ultimately if a salesperson can't take that lead and convert it to an opportunity, the business has no revenue. I've been very fortunate in my career to work with a lot of great startups because startups never cared where I lived as a military spouse. If I was in Australia, if I was in South Carolina, it didn't matter. So a lot of what I've learned is because I'm trying to help startups scale revenue, but everything I do would apply to any type of organization. I've had packaging companies that are doing $20 million a year in revenue to startups that are looking to raise Series A. So I think the tools and the tactics work the same. I think it's just a matter of sometimes there's enough revenue and growth is predictable that people get comfortable and they don't realize there's a lot of opportunity to kind of come in with some fine sandpaper and really either make the machine work a little better or tweak a few things to really drive exponential growth.